Stories say that there's a bitch in there.
Hey nerd, welcome to another installment of Little Lore from Where the Streetlights End, brought to you once again from my weird spot in the woods. If you want to know why I'm in a weird spot in the woods and why it's not weird that I'm in a weird spot in the woods, join my Patreon or follow me on the other platforms. Today, I've got a wicked witch for you. Or maybe a fairy? That's up to you to decide. It's a real nasty mother from old British folklore, and her name is Jenny Greenteeth. Before I get started, I'd like to humbly ask that you like this video, subscribe if you want more monsters, dark history, folklore, and weird stuff from me. Comment down below to let me know what strange thing you're allergic to. And share this video with anyone you know who likes this sort of nonsense. It's a cool thing to do. You want to be cool, don't you? Don't you? Tales are told of a wretched witch, a wicked magical woman, who dwells in the dark and murky waters of swamps, bogs, and lakes, casting spells from her watery dwellings using spices like frog's breath and algae. The drip and drop of slime and slop from the branches overhanging composes a dank and dreary lullaby. With hair and skin as green as the slime upon the surface of her pond, she watches out over the wetlands and marshes that she calls her home. A peaceful life in the dank corners of the forest where no man dares to tread. Sometimes, however, there will be a careless traveler who wanders into her domain, oftentimes a child who may not have been told to stay clear of these haunted spaces. And when this person comes forth and trespasses where our cruel witch presides, she will grab them tightly by the legs and drag them deep down into the muddy waters. The witch will hold them tightly beneath the surface until their lungs take their final desperate grasp of filthy water, and then Jenny Greenteeth has her main course, for she will eat this unfortunate soul as her next meal. Jenny Greenteeth is possibly one of the more prolific witches to have been born of British folklore. While the people of the British Isles have always dearly loved their witches as agitators in their stories, many have been long forgotten. Aside from perhaps the Witch of East Somerton and Black Annis, Jenny Greenteeth may be the most famous of her kind to remain in public consciousness. This is an entity which goes by many names and has a handful of different behaviors or advices associated with it. Based on my research, the variations in behavior and intention, or even in name or meaning, are specific to the place of origin. For example, the story told about our wicked witch is very different in the town of Liverpool than it is in other areas. The most popular and unsettling version of Jenny Greenteeth states that she is a terrible witch who lives in the dark waters of ponds, bogs, marshes, and lakes. It is said that when someone stumbles upon one of these bodies of water that she inhabits, she will drown them. She will grab them, drag them down, and choke the life from them beneath the waters. Afterward, she cooks them up and eats them as a stew, or kebab, or flank steak. You know, who am I to judge? I'm not going to say how she prepares her meals. Who knows? She could be a fantastic cook. She has been described as old and haggard with long, tangled green hair. She has sharp, jagged, rotten teeth that she uses to tear into the flesh of her unsuspecting prey. Her long and bony arms are deceptively strong, and she grips onto your ankles or legs with monstrous fingers all tipped with nasty claws. This fearsome hag lives beneath the surface of stagnant bodies of water, but in particular those which are covered with a plant referred to as duckweed. This aquatic plant has very small roots, or stems, that stretch down below while its small green leaves lay flat across the top of the water. This gives Jenny Greenteeth the perfect cover to lurk and wait to grab her victims who come too close. Some people who have been warned of Jenny since their childhood have actually been told that she has no truly known form because she is always hiding beneath these carpets of duckweed. Our monster today, Jenny, is so closely connected to the duckweed that in many cases her name is synonymous with the plant. People will often refer to the duckweed itself as Jenny Greenteeth. For example, someone might tell their child to stay away from a certain pond because it has Jenny Greenteeth. This leads me to wonder, and sadly my research didn't answer this for me, did the monster come before or after the name for the plant? Like a chicken and egg sort of deal. Has the plant been called Jenny Greenteeth so much and in such a way that people began to assume that beneath the surface of these waters there lay an actual being named Jenny? Or did the witch exist in our stories long before, and simply because she lives in the same sort of place as this plant, her name became shorthand for her symbiotic uh, algae creature plant, right? Regardless of which came first, Jenny Greenteeth is far more than just duckweed. Sorry, the wind is starting to blow, and I don't want you to have to hear it. I gotta tuck you away, hide you from the wind. I protect you. She's more than just the duckweed. However, this aspect of her lore is explained by the nature of duckweed itself. Duckweed has been known to deceive people often, and in a very deadly way. Because of the way the leaves of the plant lay flat across the top of the water, it can appear to be solid rather than liquid. That is to say, to the untrained eye, a pond covered with this plant could look as if it was solid ground, or that at least the water is only an inch or so deep. This has tricked many a person, especially a small child, me, into taking a step onto the water and falling hard down below. And in these murky, swampy bodies of water, the ground at the bottom is often made of a very hungry sort of mud. You may touch the ground, but that does not mean that you will stop sinking. It is believed that the stories about Jenny Greenteeth grabbing people and dragging them down underneath the water comes from this deceptive quality of the duckweed plant. Perhaps it is simply nature that is taking the lives of these people, but we feel it necessary to give that danger a more humanoid form, in the shape of a terrifying swamp witch. Though, while this is the most common and most interesting version of Jenny's lore to most people, it is not the only version of her to exist in the British Isles. There are also tales of a Jenny Greenteeth who does not live in water, but instead lives up in the treetops. See my intro clip, if that worked. I tried to do an intro clip. I don't know if it worked or not. See my intro clip if it did. Let me see. Once again, with the long green hair, green skin, and bony limbs, she blends into the canopy of the forest about just as well as she would in the swamp. So her description has not changed, but her habitat has. The stories told by those who have encountered her tell us that she can be heard moaning up above, an eerie and deeply unsettling sound in the gray light of dusk, or in the darkness of night. This version of our witch is said to grab people up from the forest floor and ensnare them among the high branches of the trees. Once again, she does this because she likes to eat people. This is how she hunts. This variation of her story, however, is believed to have been the result of a translation error that took place long, long ago. Apparently, Jenny Hewlett is an old folk name for a type of owl from northern England. The idea that some folklorists have come up with is that someone misunderstood stories about the owl as being stories about our swamp witch because of the very similar name. So, combining the lore of the water-dwelling nightmare with the behavior of an owl has led to that very interesting version of Jenny Greenteeth. It has also come to my attention that Jenny Greenteeth is also often simply used as an insult. It's a name that people will call one another if they've forgotten to brush their teeth. Or, in some cases, parents will threaten their children that if their teeth go unbrushed, either Jenny Greenteeth will get them, or they themselves will become Jenny Greenteeth. I should use that on the kids in my life. I think that it would go over amusingly. So, truly, this wretched lass has many different things associated with her. With trees, swamps, dental hygiene, which has made her a rather fascinating case for me to study. One notable thing about Jenny Greenteeth is that she, by and large, fits the description of a certain type of fae that exists throughout the British Isles. So this creature is called a Grindylow. Apparently, it makes an appearance in Harry Potter, so more people may have heard of it than most of the fairies that I talk about on here. Grindylow have been part of people's stories since pre-Christian times and have been most commonly known around Yorkshire and Lancashire. I hope I pronounced that right. I don't know a whole lot about British geography, if that's not obvious, but I talk about it a lot, so I should get better at it. Anyway, these fae are said to be found inhabiting non-moving or slow-moving bodies of water such as ponds, lakes, and bogs. They have been described as small humanoid creatures, shaped mostly like people, but they've got scaly green skin, sharp claws, and fangs. There are many Grindylows. There may be many Grindylow, and they may live in groups or they may be solitary and in smaller bodies of water, right? The main recurring theme in the stories and descriptions of Grindylow is that they are little bastards. They are rarely described as having any redeeming qualities and seem to be mostly villainous, you know? Their only real motivation, as far as I can tell, is hunger. Much like Kalupalik from Native Alaskan stories, the Grindylow loves the taste of a human child. These things are fast and they are vicious, and when they see the footwear of a child, they think to themselves, "A delicate spice, says I." 5 points if you get that reference. And the Grindylow rushes to the surface, grabs the kid by the ankles, drags them down below, and chokes and bites on them until they are, how do I say, all gobbled up. This is really very similar to how Jenny Greenteeth is described, but in my mind, I perceive her as being more slow-moving and deliberate, right? I imagine the Grindylows as being more chaotic, like piranhas. What do you think? Is it possible that Jenny is a type of Grindylow? Perhaps a subspecies that lives in the slower, murkier pools of water while the others are more likely to hang out in larger lakes and such? Or is she something altogether different, her own type of fae, or some other thing altogether? Let me know what you think. But first, I have another story about her that may offer yet another explanation for who or what Jenny truly is. In the year 2018, Jenny Greenteeth returned to the greater public conscience after decades or more of slowly fading from our minds and stories. A tourist from Australia had come to visit England that year, and among the places that she went to explore was St. James Cemetery in Liverpool. St. James Cemetery opened in 1829 and closed in 1936. Over 50,000 burials had taken place there while it was operating, so it is rather vast. And it is widely believed to be rather haunted. Today, it serves as a public park which offers serenity, green space, and history to visitors. While our Australian tourist was there, she got a bit more than some neat history. While she took many photos while she was there, one in particular caused her a great deal of surprise, and it got the entire internet into a sort of paranormal frenzy. The photo, after it was taken, showed the image of a long-haired figure present among the stones and beautiful scenery which had been the intended subject. The tourist insists that this figure was not there, or anywhere near the area at the time that the photo was taken. So she took what she intended to be a pretty picture of the scenery, and later found that she had a photo of an, until then, unseen specter. After she had posted the image on the internet, along with her explanation, people interested in the paranormal snatched onto the bait immediately. Many people who were local to the area of Liverpool chimed in right away to say that the figure was most likely Jenny Greenteeth. Many of those who agreed with this claimed that the more frightening versions of her story originated from that very place. Their local lore stated that Jenny was actually a real-life woman who lived in that city long ago. Some say that she was a witch, but most believe that she was simply a homeless woman who lived at or near the cemetery long ago, like I said. She was called Jenny Greenteeth because she had rotten teeth, and people tend to come up with pretty rude nicknames for people who live outside. So, it is likely that she was just down on her luck, had a hard time accessing dental care, and did her best living around that big old St. James Cemetery there in Liverpool. Many of these locals believed very strongly that the figure that showed up in this tourist's photograph was the ghost of that homeless woman named Jenny Greenteeth. Personally, I like this version the most. I think it's kind of sweet. And that, perhaps this woman managed to find herself the closest thing to immortality most of us can hope for. Even if her story and the details of her life have been forgotten, boy oh boy, her name has been remembered. I would personally love to be the inspiration for a terrifying bogeyman that would be used to frighten children or at least caution them away from danger for centuries, right? I would love that for myself. Please do that for me. Jenny Greenteeth has primarily been utilized as a bogeyman to, that is right, frighten children away from doing things that could cause them bodily harm. Much like so many of the monsters or entities that I talk about with y'all, she exists as a cautionary tale. I know that I myself, as a child, on more than one occasion, tried to step on top of a pond that had duckweed type stuff growing over the top of it. I knew that it wasn't ground, but I did feel the need to see if it would be strong enough to hold me up. I was told that I didn't weigh a lot, and so I thought maybe I weighed so little that this plant could hold me and I could walk on water like ya boy Jesus. Know what I'm saying? It never was strong enough to hold me up, and I had a bad time many times because of that curiosity. I wish my mother had told me the story of Jenny Greenteeth, and perhaps I would have saved a few pairs of shoes back in the day. Anyway, the point is, if I've done it, I know other kids have done it. And so this story is useful. Anyway, there is a folklorist named Catherine Briggs who published a book called The Dictionary of Fairies. In that book, Briggs classifies Jenny Greenteeth as a nursery bogey. This is pretty much what a lot of the monsters I study would be classified as, I think. A nursery bogey, as described by Briggs, are a group of spirits that seem as if they had never been feared by grown-up people, but were invented specifically to warn children off of dangerous behavior or away from undesirable activities. And there you have all of the information I could find about Jenny Greenteeth, a terrifying swamp witch, or possible fairy, or possibly a ghost, from the British Isles who lives in ponds and swamps and likes to eat people, especially children. But also, she lives in trees. And also, it's just rude slang that's used to shame people into brushing their teeth. What do you think about Jenny? Do you think the witch came first, or the nickname for the plant? I'll see if hopefully I've found the images of the photograph that tourist took. But looking at that, what do you think of the photograph, right? Do you think that's a ghost? Do you think it's a hoax? If you do think it's a ghost, do you think it's Jenny Greenteeth? Does that make sense to you? What do you think about ghosts in photographs anyway? That's a whole interesting topic that I could talk about for a different kind of series. Anyway, do you think she's a Grindylow? Or a different type of fairy? Or not a fairy at all, but perhaps a deity? She could be a guardian spirit. She could be a guardian spirit of swamps and bogs and things, just like we have guardian spirits like Leshy of the forest, right? Or is she just the misunderstood ghost of a poor woman with a cruel nickname from long, long ago? One of you nerds pointed out that so many of the monsters I talk about like to murder or eat women and children. And that is true. There is a huge gender inequality issue going on here, and I know there have got to be some critters out there that like to feast on the flesh of men. Like actually adult males. I'll be working on it, I promise, but in the meantime, definitely shoot me an email, message on Patreon or elsewhere, or comment down below if you know of any good man-eaters that I should cover in an episode of Little Lore. Sorry about skipping last week's episode. My truck needed me to work on it after work every day last week, so I wasn't able to dedicate any time to making this episode. I figured it would be best to just skip the week and upload on Friday to resume our regularly scheduled programming. It shouldn't happen again. If you're on my Patreon, I'll keep you updated about things like this, as life happens and time goes on. If you'd like to support me and what I do here, please go check out that Patreon at patreon.com/backalleyalchemist. That's what I used to call myself, and the site won't let me change my URL. I do giveaways on there sometimes, but otherwise, you get special attention from me, personal updates, and the chance to actually talk about the things I make these videos about. I have free tiers if you want some extra but limited access too. Even the moral support helps. Also, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want more of this bullshit from me. Later, nerd.